Hi everyone, this is Alysia, also known as AVP0685. Time for a weekly blog. Today's Tuesday, November the 14th, 2017. Today's a little bit of a bittersweet day for me, so I'm doing my blog a little bit on today, and I'll explain about why it's a bittersweet day. Let me touch base. I already watched my movie, which was one with Michael J. Fox, where he had a very small role. It was called Blue in the Face. It was an okay movie. It was basically about a tobacco shop that they're tentatively going to go bankrupt, and then they realize, no, they're not going to go bankrupt after all. It's just a weird movie. I already read my book, which was Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm. I never read the book. Still trying to keep in shape, trying to keep active as much as possible. Also, Thanksgiving is coming up next Thursday. Don't know what I'm going to do yet because it's a U.S. holiday. Don't know if I'm going to be having it with me and my mom or if it's going to be over a friend's house. I don't know yet. Either way, I'm going to be thankful for whatever happens. The weather has gotten really, really cool here, so that's why I'm wearing my sweatshirt. And in case you're wondering what it says, yes, I am a princess. My father is the King of Kings, and it has John 1:12. And this is one of my favorite sweatshirts. And getting back to why I said today's a bittersweet day. Today is the day that my mother and I decided to have as a memorial service for my father when he died in 2009. And today me and my mom went to where my father's remains are at Arlington National Cemetery, which is in Virginia. And I posted 2 videos. One was us leaving the cemetery, some random videos of the monuments, the Jefferson, the Lincoln, the Capitol, the Washington Marina area, and also you could see a little bit of the Capitol building. And I also posted the video of what it's like when we get into Arlington Cemetery, what it looks like when we're driving in, and also when we walk into the cemetery, because there's an area where we have to walk in order to get to where my father's remains are. Now, here's the thing. Losing a parent is a very difficult thing, and each child reacts differently, whether the child is very, very little or even the child is an adult. I myself was 24 when I lost my dad in 2009. And that was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. Now let me backtrack a little bit. My father had gone through bone cancer. He had also gone through skin cancer where he had a growth growing on his nose, and he had to have surgery to have that removed. Had it done at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, Maryland. And we thought, okay, all cancer scares are over with. No, sadly it was not. In 2004, he started complaining about really bad back pain. And he went to a chiropractor who I'm friends with still on Facebook. And he told him, hey, I think you need to go to the doctor, check it out. He went to the doctor, and my dad got diagnosed with multiple myeloma, which is a blood cancer where it basically starts affecting your different bones. And because it's in the bones, it can travel anywhere in the bloodstream. And his started in his lower spine, and it literally traveled to his hips, and it traveled further. My father had started out being about 5'11". I remember him many times when I was really little, carrying me piggyback rides. And to say, long story short, my father literally went from 5'11" to about 5'2", almost 5'3". The cancer literally collapsed his spine and drastically. He went through remission with it for a while, and then it came back with a vengeance. And the doctors talked about going through another round of radiation treatments, and his main doctor said, I don't think he's going to survive it. I highly advise against any more treatments. My mom thought at first about fighting it, but then she realized, you know what, he can't make it. So, also on Labor Day weekend of 2009, my father had a really bad nosebleed, and he literally was dizzy, very, very weak, very, very confused, thinking he'd gone somewhere that he wasn't. I'm not going to go into a lot of details because a lot of it was very personal, and a lot of it was things that were very almost embarrassing to know that it was happening. Long story short, we took my father to the hospital. He was taken to the Veterans Hospital in Washington, D.C. He also spent time in Washington Adventist Hospital, and he also spent time in a rehab center. During that time, his calcium levels skyrocketed, and when your calcium levels are really, really bad, it can cause you to collapse, faint, and other such scary things as that. And so because his calcium levels were so high, he was literally falling constantly. And long story short, my father was getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and he would go to ICU. I had to wear many times these hospital robes that people wear that are nurses, doctors. I actually had to wear some of those. They were very, very thin. I remember him spending his last birthday that he had. He spent in the hospital. Me and my mom spent the last couple of weeks of his life watching movies in the hospital with him. We talked about taking him home so he could watch Star Wars, which was one of his favorite movies. He's actually the one that helped get me started on Star Wars and Star Trek. And a few weeks before he died, he finally accepted me as his daughter to becoming a teacher, asking for forgiveness for things he had done to me in my past. And me and my mom were going back and forth to the hospital, back and forth. Also, I'm trying to go to college at this time. I'm not going to work because it's kind of hard to go to work when you can't drive, and most of the places you want to go to are at nighttime, and it's not safe for anyone really to be out at those late hours in the day. So, long story short, my father did die on November 5th, 2009. Me and my mom had gone to the hospital earlier that day. They had talked about moving him into hospice care. My mom told the caseworker, no, don't move him. And I literally was packing up all of his stuff. I was planning on spending the night at home, and I would come back the next morning. I was trying to do schoolwork, and my mom calls me up a couple of hours later after I packed up everything. We had a lot of insure, we had his clothing, we had his Bibles, we had a lot of stuff that I packed up. I packed it all up except for maybe at the most 10 different items. My mom calls me up and tells me the heartbreaking news that my father had died. When I looked out the window soon after she called me, I saw a rainbow, and in my heart of hearts I knew my daddy was gone. My daddy had died. And about a day or so later, my mother called up different funeral homes to find out who could do cremation, who could do what. My mom called up one of the local funeral homes that is family owned, and they're very, very good at what they do. The woman didn't accept any payment until my mother was fully satisfied with what happened. My mother made arrangements for the funeral to take place on the 14th of November of 2009. We contacted family members. Some of my family members came on my mother's side. None of my father's family came, unfortunately. Church members came to show their support. I wrote a poem, which I wrote the same day he died. I also did a video, which is here on YouTube, which is called Remembering My Father, John Parker. And about a month later, on December 22nd, me and my mother had his remains sent to Arlington National Cemetery. My father was a veteran, yes. He was an Army veteran, and so because he was an Army veteran, he got to be buried at Arlington Cemetery for free. And if my mother never remarries, she can be buried there with him for free. I myself, as far as I know, cannot be buried with them. But like I said, I had not been to my father's final resting spot since 2011. I was working and I didn't get to go visit it in 2012. I wanted to go, but I had to work that day. My mother went without me. So it was a little bit hard for me to know my dad is gone. Knowing that the newest Star Wars movie, Episode 8, is coming out, and knowing that he would have loved to have seen these newest Star Wars and also the newest Star Treks. And no, he's not there. I miss his sense of humor. We still have his voice on our answering machine, which I hear every time we let the answering machine pick up. I also have photos of him. There's photos of him and me. There's not that many of them, but the ones I do have I treasure very deeply because, let's face it, I wasn't a daddy's girl, and they're very, very special to me to keep those. So, like I said, losing a parent is very difficult, and each person reacts differently. I myself reacted very, very strongly because even though me and my dad weren't close when I was growing up, we were getting close toward the last. And certain movies are still difficult where I can't watch them knowing he liked watching those movies with me, like Aladdin. He loved Disney's Aladdin. He loved Disney's Beauty and the Beast, the animated one. Of course, he didn't get to see the live action one. And I haven't seen the live action one myself. Also, the Star Wars one, the original ones, 1 through 6. He didn't get to see 7, sadly. That would have been, I'm sure, very sad for him to see, too, to know some of his characters had been killed off. I'll always miss him. I always will. So, it's kind of hard today to do this vlog, but I thought I'd do it today. So, like I said, losing a parent is very difficult. Each child reacts differently. Like I said, whether you're 5 years old or whether you're older when you lose a parent, it's very traumatic. So, like I said, today's a bittersweet day for me, and I thought I'd share that with you guys. Hope you guys have a good Thanksgiving if you're in the United States. If you're overseas, I hope you just have a great day next week. I'll probably do my Hunger Games videos soon. I don't know when. And I'll do some other videos a little bit later. I'm going to just go tune into my NCIS, which is starting in about an hour. I'm still watching Orville, yes. And I think that's basically it. So I will see you guys next week. Thank you. Bye.